Family High. So here's an update.
I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, the chief of Air Force, our senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains, the top terrorist chieftains of this tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares. This is meant to enable the brave people of Iran to celebrate the Festival of Fire. So celebrate and Happy Nowruz. We're watching from above.
We'll talk about that a little bit later, or maybe in some other videos. I have these urgent prophetic words from Prophet Tomi, and I'll be taking you through sharing a bit of clips here and there for context.
I want to really challenge all of you to pray concerning what I perceive to be a greater threat than Iran. Everyone is watching Iran, and rightly so. Even God is watching Iran. Take a look at this prophecy from 2021.
Netanyahu shall be shaken, and there will be those who will push for it in the name of secularism. But if my church will pray, I will roar as a lion. Pray against a tension in Iran, for her people will cry out again, but her tyranny shall arise.
Even calling out the name of the Operation Lion Roar.
But if my church will pray, I will roar as a lion.
A short while ago, Israel and the United States embarked on a joint campaign, Operation Roaring Lion.
So he is actually kind of, reacting to a video that he pre-recorded, okay? And that was a very accurate prophecy. There's also some other thing that I have to share with you. I believe he's going to be talking about whether Netanyahu is alive or dead.
I just suppose a lot of you were like, is Netanyahu dead? I got a lot of messages. Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? If he was dead, my God, would we be right now in the life cycle of an accelerated World War III? So to anybody who wished him death, I really pray you don't, because to wish him death is to wish your children death, because all of us will somehow be conscripted into this crazy wild out war that none of us asked for. And so continue to pray for leaders, pray for those who God gives the sword, and the Bible says he doesn't give them the sword in vain. But just to see how clear it was that God called this Operation Lion Roar. Listen, I was as shocked as you when the words came out of my mouth and I saw it confirmed on the news, Netanyahu calling the Operation Lion Roar. Recently, Tucker Carlson discussed the growing tension in the Middle East and the possibility of war involving Iran. His argument essentially that the American public is being led towards another conflict under narratives that may not fully reflect the underlying geopolitical reality. So before I respond, let's watch a portion of Tucker's analysis together.
Here's where they're going next. Watch.
A new Turkish threat is emerging. I want to be very clear. Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran. Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. We can't close our eyes again.
He's sophisticated and dangerous. When Bennett says he's dangerous, what he really means is he's sovereign.
Now, let me say something. This new version of Tucker, I have to say, very sarcastic. I enjoy Tucker. I have to be honest. He was my guilty pleasure when he was on Fox News. I enjoyed how Fox News hated him. I enjoyed how the left hated him. I enjoyed somewhat his ridicule of some of the ridiculous ideas that the left espouses about LGBTQ identity, transgenderism, all of the crazy stuff they do, and how I enjoy his interview style. But Tucker's hatred or dislike, let's call it dislike, of the Jews is very much mainstream church right now.
And concerning Tucker, there have been some, controversy, speculation. Check this out.
This Tucker thing took me by surprise. Is this for real?
Yeah, it is for real.
Weren't him and Trump like two peas in a pod?
So there's a rumor out there supposedly that Trump brought in Tucker because there was word that Tucker was leaking information to the Iranians. So then Trump brought in Tucker to start giving him fake information. And that is one way that the U.S. was able to kill the leader of Iran, because Tucker told him, misinformation. So they're thinking that Tucker is feeding the Iranians information.
But didn't they ask him to feed him?
No, they didn't ask him. They did it. They didn't tell Tucker
it was
they
a
were doing
test.
fake. Yeah,
it was a test. He gave him the fake information, and they acted on it, and then they were able to attack because of it.
So that you're trying to say that the CIA and the U.S. government set up Tucker?
yes.
They're trying to say that Tucker was acting as a foreign agent and that he was giving inside information to Iran before the war in an effort to be subordinate to the United States or undermine the United States government.
Which goes kind of right along the lines of the stuff they're trying to spread with regards to the FCC.
Correct.
This was a very bad weekend for Tucker Carlson. People are really, really beating up on Tucker Carlson like never before, and he realized in a Saturday podcast, not even a podcast, just an announcement that he made that that he had been referred to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution for working for the Iranians. Specifically, he said he
referred by whom?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. Yeah. Tucker said on Saturday he believed that the CIA had referred him to the Justice Department for prosecution under the Espionage Act. That turned out not to be the case because on Sunday, Laura Loomer announced that she was the one that made the criminal referral to the Justice Department, accusing Tucker of committing espionage for Iran, but specifically for neglecting to register under the FARA, the Foreign Agents Registration Act. She said that because he exchanged emails with Iranian government officials, that showed that he was committing espionage against the United States. Now,
any journalist,
I'm gonna admit to you that I've got a role in this, and this is why I wanted to bring this up. An Iranian contact of mine asked me months ago, if I would introduce him to Tucker because President Pezeshkian wanted to interview him. So I did. I put Tucker in charge with Pezeshkian's office, and they were trying to work out an interview. They ended up having the Iranian foreign minister meet with Tucker in Muscat. And then that was first. And then Tucker interviewed Pezeshkian. This was 6, 7, 8 months ago. So Laura Loomer says, just because he spoke with an Iranian government official means he's guilty of espionage. Now, literally nothing is going to come of this, right? There are dozens of crimes reports that are filed with the Justice Department every single day, and they ignore 99.5% of them.
So that's actually a discussion for another day. Let's continue with what Prophet Tomi is actually talking about. Maybe to bring in some context, he is prophetically talking about this situation that is to do with Israel, Iran, the United States of America. And he's actually saying after this Iran thing, the main focus should be on Turkey. I believe he's going to be explaining all
church right now. Very much the idea of mainstream church. I had the black Hebrew Israelites show up at my church to argue with me that they were the real Jews. There's this belief that the Jews in Jerusalem are European Jews. They're not the true descendants of Israel. And that's something that I've challenged so many times as not even anti-Semitic, purely just plain racist, but nobody likes that I say that. They think, these aren't the Jews. The 12 tribes of Israel are lost. They're in America right now. They're us black people. Rubbish, okay? Utter rubbish, doctrine of devils. And that's the problem with Tucker. It's the problem with many Christians. People ask me what my eschatology is. And if you don't know what eschatology is, it's the study of end times. People say, what's your eschatology? Because you cannot view the world we live in through the frame and the lens of just socio-economic politics. It's just not possible. And you better bet your bottom dollar there are people whispering in Donald Trump's ear right now, telling him that he can be the catalyst for the return of Jesus Christ. You bet your bottom dollar they believe that they are responsible in the Trump era for rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. And they believe that that temple must be rebuilt for the Antichrist to come, and claim himself to be God, and then we'll have the tribulation period and the time of peace. So you hear him talk about this. You hear him have people tell him, mostly evangelical Christians, that, hey, President Trump, this might be it. This might be doomsday. This is the time where you are going to be the trump card that's going to usher in the return of Jesus Christ. And, everyone's on Gog and Magog in Iran and Russia and all of that. I have a very different eschatology. It's not mainstream. It gets me in trouble. People, somebody's gave me basically your mama in a DM one day. They just said your mama, and it's really rude. I mean, everyone right now is watching Iran, but the hinge of history has always been told from Turkey. Turkey is the center of historical value. But let me just tell you, Turkey is right in the middle. You have Turkey, you have Syria, Iraq, Iran, Romania in Europe, Eastern Europe, Bulgaria. So Turkey is the gate between Russia, the Middle East and Africa, and Eastern Europe. Everything happens from the center of Turkey. Turkey, you heard it here first, folks. Turkey will be the most important geopolitical player after Iran. All our eyes will be China, China this, China that, Iran this, Iran that, but we won't be looking at the 20-year president who has held on to his tenure for 20 years, by the way, the dictator who is not a dictator, apparently. Remember the sentence we started with, everyone is watching Iran, but the hinge of history has always been Turkey. Iran is a powerful religious state. It operates under a political theology known as Wilayat al-Faqih, which I may be mispronouncing. The guardianship of the Islamic jurist. Ultimate authority rests with the supreme leader, currently, was Ali Khamenei. The system is rooted in Shia Islam, but Turkey operates within Sunni Islamic civilization, which historically organizes political authority differently. Iran represents revolutionary religious governance. Turkey represents imperial political memory. I guess people don't really get this, that Iran is Shia, the Turkey is Sunni. So, by the way, Saudi Arabia is Sunni. Shiaism subscribes to this idea in their eschatology of the last Imam. They believe that the Ayatollah, the Khamenei and his children actually believe in an eschatology that ushers in the last Imam with Jesus Christ. So he's more than just a political leader. Turkey, the reason we've all left him alone and go, he's not a threat, is because he set himself up as a political leader. Khamenei set himself up as a premier prophet. He set himself up as almost next to Muhammad, the one who is meant to bring in the eschatological reign of the 12th Imam. And this is why Iran cannot get nuclear power. You cannot give nuclear power to a nation that believes their Imam cannot return until the pigs, you and I, are destroyed. The Americans, those that ally with America. And this is why, again, Dubai was so heavily hit. Why they're so angry with Saudi. Why they're so angry with Dubai. Because these players, these Muslim kings or crown princes are shaking hands with the West. And I'll tell you why, because they're running out of oil. The supply of oil is running out, and what used to sustain their economy has to give way to opening the doors to the West. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in antiquity. And that's just as clear as day and obvious as it gets. But Iran is like, we're going to stay in antiquity. But we're going to stay in antiquity. We're going to dress old. We're going to look old. But we're going to stay in antiquity with a nuclear warhead and blow up Israel, blow up the Jews. And I just look at Western intelligentsia and I go, how stupid our intelligentsia has become. Because, we now have the LGBTQ community screaming free Palestine, where in Palestine you'll be thrown off the edge of a building. I mean, it's just a level of madness. Raw. When the Bible says my people are stupid, I get it. Sometimes I'm just like, God, I don't think you made everybody. Because I look at some people, I go, wow, did you really create that person? Did you make them? So you look at Tucker, he's geopolitical. He's an Episcopalian Christian, as far as I'm aware, which somewhat support Jews, which is weird. But to some degree, he is totally America first. Like, he is a total nationalist, not white nationalist, a total America first, nationalist in every way. Why are we working with the Jews? Why are we supporting the Jews? Because we don't realize that America is only great because of its efforts to free the Jews during World War II. Because God says, I will bless the nation that blesses Israel. And this Tucker doesn't understand. And many have tried to explain this to Tucker, that if you curse Israel, you're toast. And Biden was taking America off of that edge. Now, do I support the Israeli government and
everything they do? Absolutely not. I think Israel right now is a pagan country. Tel Aviv is the most secular state in the Middle East. What they're doing there, the LGBT stuff, liberal as it gets. But they're blinded. The Bible says they're blinded for our sake. The spiritual blindness is upon them. I can't remember if it's 3% of Jews are actually practicing Judaism. The majority of Jews are secular Jews. That's why they come to the West and they vote stupid things. They're Democrats in the West. Sadly, I'm sorry, but they're Satan worshippers. Jews in the West are Satan worshippers. They vote for Satan worshiping things. They do stupid stuff. The Weinsteins, the Epsteins, the Zuckerbergs. You just need to go down the list and you can see that they don't have the fear of God. So do I believe that the Jews are right? No, I can see Tucker's kind of feeling of, he sits in DC, he sees Jews do crazy things. Jews in New York voted for Mamdani. Are you kidding me? We reward September 11th atrocity by employing a mayor who is a Muslim, who is bringing a foreign god into New York City. And the most populous is Jewish city in the Western Hemisphere is New York. So it's crazy. It's all a mess. Do you support Tucker? Do you defend him? Do you support others? Do you blindly follow the evangelical Christian who's saying, yes, bless Israel, because those that bless Israel blessed and those that curse Israel cursed? You're kind of stuck in the middle of, yes, absolutely, fundamentally, the Bible says bless Israel, but the Bible doesn't say turn a blind eye to clear, blatant iniquity, evil, wickedness, and sin that they do. So I'm torn. I don't support Tucker's I don't want to say anti-Semitic because I don't think he's anti-Semitic, but I do think he is America first. He is angry with the fact that Christians are very much persecuted in Israel, and I've been there. I've seen it, but very much by the Orthodox Jew, you see this hatred of Mashiach or Messiah, because it's like, who is the Messiah? How dare you bring the Messiah here? But they're blind for a season, and I believe that blindness is coming off. Somebody just said, I still don't know where Tomi Araimi stands, or Apostle stands. Listen, I stand with Jesus. I'm not left. I'm not right. I'm forward. I'm just Jesus all the way. People say, oh, he's criticized Trump today. He's not for Trump. No. We'll tell you when I believe Trump has done something that isn't God. I will tell you straight up. I will tell you that if I was American, I would vote for Donald Trump. And that will upset some people. I'll vote for him because I vote my Bible. Oh, you're going to vote for somebody who's anti-immigration, anti-this, anti-that. No, I'm going to vote for somebody who supports the rights of the innocent to live. I'm going to vote for somebody who doesn't want our children to have gender-bending surgery that reverses their gender and mutilates them forever. I'm going to support somebody who cares about borders of nations and isn't a globalist, because globalism is Babylon. I am very much a nationalist. I believe in sovereign nations' right to exist because I believe God believes in that. God is a God of nations, and nations have borders. And he actually says, cursed is the man that moves the boundary mark of nations. So America's leaders are cursed because they're constantly removing the boundary markers. And we got pastors talking about Jesus is an immigrant. Foolish theology. Foolish. Just utter ridiculousness when you think about what they're actually saying. First of all, we say, well, Jesus is an immigrant, but Jesus wasn't an illegal immigrant. Jesus didn't smuggle himself across borders through the back door. He came into nations very much through the front door. He didn't skip his way across a border to get in. That's not what Jesus did. And, the same people who are borderless people don't recognize that right now we got sleeper cells in this country, something I will very much talk about, that we let into this nation.
And they are worse right now than anything we're sending out there, because there are people willing to die for the eschatology, not geopolitics. We've got to stop bending into this Tucker Carlsonian kind of geopolitical ideology of left versus right. Right now, we're not in a left versus right. We are in a Daniel statue moment of the feet, partly of clay, partly of iron, and the two can't mix together. Iron represents the Western civilization from Turkey all the way past Rome, all the way to Italy and all of that. Clay represents the Arabic Middle Eastern world, the Semitic world, all the way to Israel, Middle East, and all of that. And the Bible says the two can't mix. So if you ask me, can Islam and Western civilization collide and coincide and live habitable lives together? Absolutely not. Even on a moderate level, the two ideologies don't mix, because the Bible says they don't mix. And the word for mix, by the way, is the word Arab. Check it, fact check me on it. That's the word. It's the word Arab. And so it's not possible for two ideologies that are diametrically opposed to each other in every way, shape, or form. Maybe the same Abrahamic, or Ibrahimic as the Muslims call it, foundation, but it is another God. They worship another God. They do not worship the same God as the God of the Jews and the Christians.